So I'm going to just separate the React and Redux part because I think it's better. And then after I finish this part, I'm gonna start the backend stuff. So start with a display messages component, add a constructor. To this component, initialize with a status that has true properties. Input, empty string probably, and messages, empty array. Okay. Finally, use the UL to map over the array of messages. Finally, use the UL. Okay, first you finish creating the display messages component. So I'm probably gonna have to do this. And the change and submit message. First in the render method, have the component render an input element button. Input element. Button elements. And UL element. The input element changes, it should trigger a handle change. So on change equals handle change. Now they are not saying to bind them, so I think it's necessary. And this probably is going to change the input state. So there's a build error, so I probably did this incorrectly. Maybe if I take this and this doesn't work, because it's an object that I'm trying to pass. I always forget this shit. Which one is it? When the should trigger and the change method, also the input element should render the value of input that's in the component's state. So value is gonna be equal to this dot state. If there's props here as well. So what am I doing wrong here? I do like this. Easier to just look at it. Yeah, set state's a function, or either the way that I was doing there before. So I don't see what is incorrect here. Oh, so here I need to put this, I think, here. But it still doesn't make any sense. Maybe I need to put function here. Should trigger render change method. Also, the input element should render the value of input that's in the component state. The bottom element should trigger a submit message method when it's clicked. It's pretty much the same thing. Submit message. Second, write these methods. The handler change method should update the input with what user is typing. Submit message. That should concatenate the current message, store the input to the messages array in local state. Also, it should. Oh, I think I got it now. So submit message. Should messages dot push. Let's say that inputs. And clear the value of the input. And then this dot state dot input. So why does this not work? I have to do on set state here. And then make the input I'll do the same thing as before. Yeah, but I know it's wrong. I just don't understand. It's probably something to do with the syntax here on this state message. And clear the value of the input. Finally, use the UL to map over the array of messages and render it to the screen. So this is gonna be this dot state dot messages dot map as a list of the elements. So which is the same one we did on the exercises. And here has to have a key equals to key. So the UL part I think is correct. Because I'm getting the state, the messages on state, and mapping over them. So I'm almost sure that the issue is with the way I'm writing the send or change and submit message. But I think the part that is inside of them is probably correct. Oh, here I just got from the example, but I think no. Yeah, now it's correct. Should be correct, at least. I was not gonna pass because it's not building anything here. Which means there's something wrong with the way that I'm doing. Also, you didn't say this. Uh, because all in the other examples they bind it in the constructor there. And now I have to bind it on the thing. So this and the change bind this. So this not state. Oh yeah, because there's two. I forgot about that as well. There's two states here. And I think I would have to access it anyway. Even if there was only one. Pass event to handle change. Method declaration, note that event at target value. Oh, so I forgot about that. Here's probably. So maybe I have to erase this. But it's still saying I made a mistake. Maybe it's this dot state equals this. Can't be because it's setting state. Maybe when I add the following div into render content, check if the under change method is working. Spread operator can be used for array concatenation and submit message method declaration. Oh, I can't use push. That's what they're saying. Because I can't modify the original one. I have to create another one, I think. Yeah, but then it's better to use the set state here. Because then I can do messages. It's gonna be Oh, actually, no, I'm not sure. Oh, I should do the other way around, actually. Otherwise, the input's not gonna be updated, it's gonna be empty string. So here has to be browse.inputs. Yeah, but I'll have to look at the solution to see what's wrong with the way that I'm doing this thing. Oh, maybe I need to bind it here as well. I bind it there. Oh, there we go. So that was the issue probably. But here, and maybe it's because it just did install the button. But it's not updating the messages. Let's see how many passes. Clicking the add message button should call the method submit message, which should add the current input to the messages array. So probably the way that I'm doing this is incorrect. Browse.messages concat. Can be used for array concatenation and submit message method declaration. And so they're telling me to use the spread operator. Messages.concat. So maybe I don't need to use concat. But I forgot. I thought the way that I did there was correct. Which is just like this. You can just console.log messages. Hmm. Maybe I can't do that. I'll do it outside here. But it's not showing anything. Maybe it's the UL method that can be off as well. But I think this is correct. Because I'm using the this state method messages. Yeah. So how do I know what messages is here? Maybe I have to do with messages previously. It doesn't work. It's not clearing the input as well. Or maybe if I don't bind, maybe that's the problem. It's not the problem. So what can be wrong here? I have trouble understanding what's the set state method. What's this prev here? I think it's the state, but well, here should be prev dot input, but then it doesn't work. Oh, that should be equal then. Equal. It still doesn't work. So how I'm gonna access and modify? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, here is the only input that I'm using. So maybe I don't need to use the function then. But I still want to understand how the function works. Let's see if at least the input passes now. I shouldn't have any input here when I click. That's the problem. Oh, I have to use event maybe. No, because here I'm using state. But I think event says things about the page and not about the state. Here that should be just input. Yes. So probably useless to put event there. I'm gonna change shirts of right back. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what else to do here. This is not gonna work. This method is not working. So I don't know what's wrong about this. I think I'm just gonna look. Oh, I have to put messages here. Didn't know that. So it's probably not the only thing that's off. Yeah. And this does the other way around. It's still not working. So probably. So I think a set state is gonna change this the whole state with everything that exists on it, which I didn't know. I thought if you didn't put things, they would remain the same. So the only option is that is wrong here. So maybe it's the binding stuff. Oh, made it on submit, not on click. Yeah, of course. Then this part is correct. But they also do it differently. They use another they use another variable for the index, which is what I should probably be doing as well. First, define an action type, add, and set it to const add. Action type, add. Add, let's see. Now that you finish the React component, you need to move the logic it's performing locally in its state into Redux. This is the first step to connect the simple React app to Redux. The only functionality your app has is to add new messages from the user to an unordered list. The example is simple in order to demonstrate how React and Redux work together. First, define an action type add and set it to a const add. I think it's like this, but I'm not sure. Next, define an action creator add message, which creates the action to add a message. Which creates the action to add a message. So it's probably gonna be message events. You need to pass a message to this action creator and include the message in the returned action. Oh yes, I always forget the return. Then create a reducer called message reducer. And here is gonna be state and action. It handles the state for the messages. The initial state should equal an empty array. This reducer should add a message to the array of messages held in state. Or return the current state. So I'm not sure if I should use this, but I probably should. Now I'm not sure if I should use event as because I don't know if it has access to or not. Probably not, since it's giving me that. Yeah, because this is a local variable, so it only has access, only lives here. Yeah, you should use message instead. Or held in state. Default state. Finally, create a Redux star and pass it the reducer. Message not defined. Oh, so now that I'm passing, it's saying that this is not defined, I guess. So maybe I should just use this. Oh, I never used this one as well. So that's probably what I should be doing instead. Yeah, I remember. Okay, so it passes a bunch more. The action creator add message should return an object with type equal to add a message, which the message that is passed in. So here should be type. Also, I should return type add and then message event. But then how I'm gonna access this? So here I should probably put event here, but then it doesn't work. Because here is accessing the, oh, I have to put action.type. No. Yeah, so it has to be action.event dot message. Yeah. Nice. The code editor now shows all your Redux and React code from the past several challenges. It includes the Redux store actions and the display messages component. The only new piece is the app wrapper component at the bottom. Use this. So here. Use this top level component to render the provider from React Redux. And pass the Redux as a star as a prop. So it's gonna be the same way they are doing in the example there. Star equals star. So here's probably display messages that I have to put instead of app. So why is this not working? It should be written correctly. Oh, it's the other way around here. But now this doesn't work. Well, I have to return maybe. Do I? Oh, I have to render. Doesn't make sense to be the app. That should be display messages. So maybe it should be returning this. There we go. Create a function map state to props called. This function should take state as an argument. You return an object which maps that state to specific property names. So why this doesn't work? Maybe I should put equal to the array. Or maybe it's because inside of uh, inside of this thing here. You return an object which maps that state to specific property names. These properties will become accessible to your component via props. Since this example keeps the entire state of the app in a single array, you can pass that entire state to your component. Create a property messages in the object that's being returned and set it to state. So I should do this here. Why isn't returning an object? Don't understand this part. Turn an object which maps that state to specific property names. These properties will become accessible to your component via props. Since this example keeps the entire state of the app in a single array, you pass that entire state to your component. Create a property messages in the object that's being returned and set it to state. Maybe it's just I don't have to use this map, but there we go. Code editor provides an action creator called add messages. Write a function map dispatch to props. So add messages here. It takes dispatch as an argument. Then returns an object. The object should have a property submit new messages. Submit new message. Set to dispatch function, which takes a parameter for the new message to add when it dispatches add message, which takes a parameter for the new message to add when it dispatches add message. So I think it should be add message. It can't be dispatched there. Dispatching add message. We submit new message from map. Dispatch props should return a message to the dispatch function. So maybe if I just put add message, then yeah. Maybe I have to put message here and then dot message. I don't know if this is possible. So they're doing dispatch, then the function, and then also here the dispatch. The map dispatch props function is used to provide specific action creators to your React components so they can dispatch actions against the Redux store. It's similar in structure to the map state props function you wrote in the last challenge. Returns an object that maps dispatch actions to property names, to become component props. However, instead of returning a piece of state, each property returns a function that calls dispatch with an action creator and any relevant action data. You have access to this dispatch because it's passed into map dispatch props as parameter when you define the function. Just like you passed state map state to prompts. Behind the scenes, React Redux is using Redux start.dispatch to conduct these dispatches with map. Uh, this is similar to how it uses start.subscribe. So I should do a function. That's the problem. I don't understand why, given their explanations, but whatever. I'll study that later. Sometimes the explanations can be confusing, for me at least. So I don't think it's gonna be the best. Try to spend a bunch of time trying to understand. The code editor has the map stage props and map dispatch props. Functions and a new React component called presentational. Connect this component to Redux with the connect methods from the React Redux global object. So I should use this method here. Probably like the way they're doing here. So I have map stage props and map dispatch props. In a new React component called presentational. Connect this component to Redux with the connect methods from the React Redux global object. So here should be presentational. And call it immediately on the presentational component. Assign the results to a new const called connect component. That's it, now you're connected to Redux. Try changing either of connect's arguments to no and observe the test results. Connect Redux to the messages app. The code editor has all the code you've written in this section so far. The only change is that the React component is renamed to presentational. Create a new component held in a constant called container that uses connect to connect the presentational component to Redux. So create a new component held in a constant called container. It uses connect to connect the presentational component to Redux. Isn't the same that I did before? But I'm missing two arguments there. So probably should do that again. At this point, I just want to finish this because I think the stuff that I'm doing with that I will do with Python and Scrapey to understand the library is gonna be more efficient to learn. Then the tutorials here. Constant code. I think the portion of the tutorials that I would learn the most from I already did. So I'm happy with that. But now I just want to finish. Call the container that uses connect should connect. And I think the backend parts are gonna be good as well. Container that uses connect should connect the presentation component to the Redux. Then in the app wrapper, render the React Redux provider. Uh, Provider components. So it's gonna be that provider stuff again. Store equals store. Then it's gonna be the name of the app. Then it's gonna be slash provider. Best provided the Redux store response and containers. Yeah. Once everything's set up. No, that's so I did something wrong here. Presentation component should receive messages from the Redux store as props. As a prop. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe the order here, it shouldn't matter that much. Or maybe it does matter, actually. I'm just gonna try to see, but I don't think that's what's incorrect. Or maybe I don't need to use this time. Huh. It doesn't make sense because then I wouldn't be connecting anything. I think the point of doing this is that you connect this parts to that. Yeah, I don't know. How many I have left until I finish this? No. So that's what's wrong here. Now I should pass. No? Oh, it should be container. Yeah, because otherwise it's not connecting. Hopefully there's not a lot more. Just show more. Once this changes, in the presentation component first, remove the messages property in the local state. These messages will be managed by Redux. Next, modify the submit message method so that it dispatches new message from this dot props. And pass in the current message input from local state as an argument. So that it dispatches new message from this dot props. So I think it wants to activate this function. So I should probably pass this instead there. Passing the current message input from local state as an argument. Because we removed messages from local state, remove the messages property from the call to this .set state. So I should probably be doing this outside. But then how I'm gonna pass it? So that should be here. Remove the messages property from the call to this .set state here as well. Finally, modify the render methods so that it maps over the messages received from props rather than state. Once these changes are made, the app will continue to function the same, except Redux manages this state. This example also illustrates how a component may have local state. Your component still tracks user input locally in its own state. You can see how Redux provides a useful state management framework on top of React. We achieve the same result using only React's local state. See if this works. Especially the solution. So it's probably this stuff that I'm doing wrong. What if I put this? It's probably not gonna work. Where is it? Here. Yeah. I'm just gonna look. The other exercise is complicated. I'm just gonna look as well. Oh, I forgot the this. That's probably, no, I put the this there. I forgot the prompts here. And then there's no more function here as well. Log the message. No, no reactor and Redux to the console. Okay, finally it's done. And now are the projects that I'm not gonna do. So I think I'm gonna stop here. Next time I'm gonna start this backend stuff. And I might just stop doing this for a while because I figure out how to do the virtual machine here. And I'm probably gonna set up Python and Scrapey offstream. So I think I'm gonna focus on that more because I'm more interested in advancing the project further and faster rather than doing this difficult camp challenges. But I might go back at some point as well to do the challenges. So yeah, see you next time.